If your knees are weak, your quality of life becomes an absolute nightmare. Going to work, the activities in which you can do with your family, your holidays, everything starts to become looked at with a very, very narrow vision because you can't do X, Y, and Z because your knees are fucked. It's just that simple. And that belief adds up to months and years, and then it becomes your reality, complete reality, and you end up like a statue that always believes this stuff. Now, this video aims to address that exact problem. And if I was a grappler with weak knees, this is exactly how I would get my knees strong in the shortest possible time frame. First thing I'm going to go through is the myths. Maybe the myths of just ingrained in your DNA, ingrained in your mindset without you even realizing, really knowing why. As I rattle off the myths, by the way, I want you to actually think, why do I believe this? Because a lot of the time, you don't actually know why you believe these things to be true. It's usually somebody told you a couple of decades ago that that's just the reality and that just is what it is, without really questioning it. Mindset, which is required, the mindset shifts as a result of that. The training mindset as well, and then we're going to get into the actionables, get you sent away with some really valuable tools in your toolbox going forward. Okay, so let's get straight into it. The myths, right? You got the strength is bad for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's a technical sport. It's chess with our body. And we've got don't squat past 90 degrees. Just let me know in the comments if you've heard any of these before. And you've got ligaments, bones, and tendons cannot get stronger. Are these all legitimate myths that you've heard of? Why have you heard of these? Do you remember who told you these? Have you ever questioned why these are so very commonly believed to be true? Crazy, isn't it? So if strength is bad for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, one thing is a hell of a lot worse, and that is weak joints. Weak joints doesn't just limit your ability to do Jiu-Jitsu. Like I said, this is more impactful off the mats, right? If anything, having weak knees, doing Jiu-Jitsu can actually give you a couple of hours of not really feeling like your knees are that weak. But when you're walking down the stairs after class, or you're jumping into your car, or you're back out of your car on a night, or you wake up the next morning, your knees are fucked. It's not a good look when you basically have another 40 years of your life to live. The 90-degree knee bend, myth. How can your knees ever get fully strong if you're only doing a half rep? It doesn't matter how much weight you get on the bar and how strong you actually think you are. If you're only going halfway down, you don't actually allow your knee to get fully strong, ever. Tendons, ligaments and bones can't get strong. Well, anything with blood flow can get stronger. And your knees actually have quite good blood flow in comparison to some other joints. So they absolutely can get stronger. For those of you that are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Paul Green. I run the longevity program in which I coach grapplers that want to strengthen their joints and improve their longevity in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. A lot of blokes come to me with injuries and we get their joints really strong, really resilient, improve their athleticism, all while recompositioning their body and hitting their weight loss goals or weight gain goals as well. If you are interested in that, the link is in the description. Book on a call with me and we'll potentially get you onto the program. Right, everything that I'm going to talk about here, right, is exactly what I use with my guys on the program, right? So the training mindset required is developing immediately. As soon as you watch this video and you put these actionables into place, you need to have this training mindset. You need to have intent to get stronger every week. I don't know what it is, but after blokes get, above the age of 30, above the age of 40, for some reason they fall into this maintenance trap. And it's like, I'm just maintaining. They just fall into this maintenance mode. It's like, I'm happy to continue having what I currently have. To build stronger joints, you need to have the intent to get stronger every single week. It may seem simple, but if you don't have that mindset, you will never get stronger every week. And this means aspiring to do an extra rep in which you previously couldn't do, and aspiring to get more load onto your joints than you did previously. It may sound very simple, but this is probably one of the most common things I've ever experienced when speaking to blokes over the age of 40 or working with blokes over the age of 40. They just fall into doing the same amount of weight for the same amount of reps every single session. They're scared to train their joints and put their joints and muscles through their paces. You need the intent to perform every rep as perfect as you can, just as you would on the mats. Pride yourself in your technique. You do on the mats. It's even easier to pride yourself in your technique off the mats because you haven't got a training partner who's trying to cause absolute chaos for your technique. Do you know what I mean? So it's easier when you haven't got interruption. You need to have the intent to have full control over each rep. Yeah, you might be in the gym, you might not particularly enjoy the gym, right? But full control, especially when you're at these end ranges, training through a full range of motion, is absolutely necessary in order to develop your strength. Because this is more important as you get older, and if you haven't been doing this, because if you haven't entered these end ranges, you haven't been at below 90 degrees, it's important that you have more control as you enter in these positions. So control, basically tempo of each repetition. You need to have full control. You don't need to count the reps. You don't need to count to 5 on the way down or anything like that. You just need to have full control, just as you would if you were sparring with one of the juniors, or you were sparring with a small younger lady or something like that. You would have full control. You wouldn't be going crazy and losing control. So the more control you have, the better your technique is, and having the intent to get stronger. Blend that with training close to failure. You get the most out of every second in the gym, right? And what you'll find is when you put them things into place, you will be in and out the gym in 30 or 40 minutes. You feel like you've had a great workout and you get more from the session. Instead of spending 90 minutes to 2 hours in the gym, you actually do less. But you do less but better. So when you remember that, less but better. That's the mindset required. Training frequency required. So a little bit of nerdiness here. There's a lot of science foundation in this. So we'll start with the sets. Sets of 6 to 10 reps is absolutely fine, right? You have a left and a right of arc with this. Basically, if you go heavy and you get 6 reps, that's fine. Just try and get 7 the next time. Try and get 8 the next time. Try and get 9, then 10. And then once you get 10, up the weight by 10%. Rest. Don't get caught up in how long to rest. If it's a minute and a half, if it's 2.5 minutes, if it's 3.5 minutes, who cares? Your intention is to work your socks off during each working set. So rest for as long as you need in order for that to actually happen. Sets, 2 to 3 sets per exercise. 9 to 12 sets per training session. And close to an even split on quads / hamstring. And this is where you're probably going to be like, fucking hell, really? So most men don't train their legs. Now I'm telling you, on this video, you can train your legs 1 to 3 training sessions per week. I've got blokes on my program, as you've just seen the proof there, different injuries and stuff like that. The more injured or the more weak their knees are, I hate using the word injured, but I have to sometimes to just literally give you it. The weaker the joint, the more you should train it, is the point I'm going to make on that. So if you've got really weak knees, you should be doing some form of training on your knees as much as you can during the week. However, if you are moving the knees with load, you need to rest and recover from these sessions and get stronger. So this is why this is the golden rule. So basically, the weaker your knees are, the more it needs to be close to 3. The stronger your knees are, once per week is absolutely fine. However, why would you just do it once when you can do it twice? Do you know what I mean? There you go. So I've mentioned all of that. Okay, now the exercises. We're going to get straight into it. So exercise number 1, and this is the most important one, right? A full knee bend squat is going to challenge every ligament in your knee, right? ACL, PCL, MCL, LCL, and meniscus. All of these have blood flow. Your meniscus has less blood flow, but a full knee bend squat challenges everything, every part of your knee, right? You need to do this. Preferably do it at the first exercise as well. And you can see all these variations, right? Heels elevated. 60-year-old, heels elevated because he hasn't got the ankle mobility or the hip mobility to get into a full knee bend. So I basically put him into an exercise in which he can do full knee bend with load. That take out of the equation his ankle mobility and hip mobility. Another alternative would be a split squat, a deep knee bend split squat with his front leg elevated. Front leg elevated makes it a little bit easier in the end range position, a little bit easier to push out of the position. Another one's a fancy machine. Not many of you will have this machine, but the point remains the same. If you're on a machine, full knee bend squat, or same exercise, heels elevated goblet squat, right? If you haven't done beyond 90 degrees in your fucking life, then it is absolutely fine to start your journey of full knee bend squatting by raising the heels, getting into the end range. See this position here? There's no daylight. This is what I look like when I do my movement feedback with my clients. They'll send me videos and I'll be like, mate, get lower down. So one thing I was doing with this lad is I was saying, mate, there's still a little bit of daylight there. There's still a little bit of light I can see. I want to see this full knee flexion. Because if we're not fully flexing our knees, we're not strengthening our knees fully, like I said earlier on. So make sure you get yourself into these positions, right? And this is where it comes into how weak are your knees actually. Because if they are very weak, then you might get down into that position and you might not be able to get back up. And that is absolutely fine. Think about it. If your body doesn't need to be in this position, fuck's sake, then it's never going to be strong in that range, right? So you might have to, for the first few sessions, for the first couple of weeks, pull yourself out of that position or use your hands for assistance to get out of the bottom position, and then you can do it body weight, and then you can add a dumbbell, then you can do split squats and all these weights and stuff like that. Does that make sense? Do you know what I mean? Like, just because it takes a little bit of humility, right? You need to do this exercise, and honestly, your knees, the weaker your knees are at the start of this stuff, the turnaround is just going to be absolutely unbelievable. You're going to feel such amazing results in such a short space of time, because the trajectory that you'll go on from really weak knees to really strong knees, not necessarily really strong by my standards, however, by your standards, your knees are going to feel amazing in a very quick space of time. But this is the most important thing, full knee bend. Do a full knee bend, even if you have to hold the wall or hold a table or something just to get yourself into that position, pull yourself out. That would be a start point. Doesn't matter that you can't squat 100 kg, 150 kg, 200 kg like you could when you were a kid. It's just about starting now and building on it every single week with the mindsets which I've mentioned previously. Next exercise, stiff knee hinge. So bend, basically a hinge is just moving the hips, prioritizing the movement of the hips and hamstring at length, right? So we're now focusing more closer to knee extension. So this one's knee flexion, prioritizing knee flexion. This one's knee extension. Anyway, you don't care about the science, nerdy terminology, but this is just another way of us now prioritizing the back of the knee, the hamstring, the glutes. Next one, some heavy quad work. So now we're not necessarily too bothered about the full knee bend. We're just going to get as much load in a very safe manner, and we're going to put our quads through its paces. After that, exercise 4, isolation work. So whether that's a machine, hamstring, heavy isolation, every time I'm saying heavy, do you know what I mean? Because the tendency is for men over the age of 40 is to, they'll go loads, they'll do a set to failure, but they're doing a lightweight to failure, which is 20 or 30 reps. You're not going to develop strength by doing that. And it's that maintenance mindset which has affected your brain. It needs to be heavy. Your intensity needs to come from a heavy amount of weight lifted. And as long as you've done your warm-up sets, and as long as you've got good control, good technique, the gains are going to be there. There's no risk. Do you know what I mean? There's no risk if you do it properly. So this is now the hamstring isolation work, which is the knee flexion. We got basically the the quads. These machines are great, and then you've got glute bridge as well. Hopefully you appreciate that insight, and I really hope that, at least one of yous can be like just taken back by how serious I am about this subject. The knees is literally the most important joint in the body. If our knees are fucked, everything in our life declines massively. Not just our jiu-jitsu, right? But when we get this right, it transcends into every area of our life. When we can just strengthen our knees, our life literally multiplies in quality. And it's just a case of doing 1, 2, or 3 of these sessions a week. Do you know what I mean? Your knees are your life. Look after them, and they will look after you. Gentlemen, that's it from me. Everything that I've shown you there, all the clients that I've got on my program, they've all had injuries in their knee as well. It's all the same rules. If you're not injured, if you've got weak knees, sore, stiff knees, or you're injured, them rules will apply to you. If you're in a bit of a pickle, juggling it, and you're a bit scared and stuff like that, and you need some extra support, then the link is in the description. It's exactly what I do with the lads. I go through them, I walk them through the process step by step, and get their knees strong as fucking humanly possible. Doing that while balancing jiu-jitsu as well is something that we do. And it's important that this enters your life and it doesn't leave your life, because when you do it properly, it's not just about developing your jiu-jitsu, it's about making your life better. That's it from me. You know where the links are. If you're not interested in the links, you just like the videos, then I'll see you tomorrow.